Arnie. Arnold. Katie's shaking her head like she's disappointed.
Terminator versus Skeletor.
Why are you disappointed with this? You weren't disappointed with him bankrupting our state?
Oh, no, I was disappointed with that, too. But I'm actually not even disappointed. It doesn't surprise me in the least.
No, well, it surprised me that the Terminator he put up with that for so long.
Well, yeah, like not banging anyone else.
Yeah, right.
So was it that the maid had a child?
Oh, I didn't look into any details. I didn't really care.
Oh, okay. We're just
talking about
the Sperminator, so the Terminator.
The Sperminator. There you go.
Good one.
Yeah.
How old's the kid?
14. So this was all going down when End of Days and The Sixth Day were coming out. So that's why we got those two shitty movies. Thanks a lot, Maid. I was noticing the other day that we were watching The Last Action Hero
oh my god.
Because it was on Netflix. Yeah. Netflix added a bunch of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in the last week. I'm like, it's kind of fucked up, Netflix. I was realizing that Arnold, his accent is weird. I mean, the dude's lived in the States for 30 years and he has a weird accent. But also, he has an accent on something that, in Germany, his accent's less Austrian. His accent's less Austrian and more retarded.
Do you almost think, almost in the same vein as a celebrity would have to keep up a facade that was that person? Obviously, Schwarzenegger can't lose, his accent.
So he totally had... No, maybe he can lose his accent and lost his accent, 15 years ago. Or
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But he talks like us now.
Yeah.
He sounds Californian.
In the home with the maid, he speaks perfect English.
But see, what I was saying is I'm watching Last Action Hero and he's talking like an idiot and he says California and all that kind of shit. But then he does something that I'm like, wait, in Austria they just think you're retarded too. When he yells, he's like, "Down!" He has a retarded yell.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it's his accent. Maybe he doesn't have an Austrian accent. Maybe he's just mild Down syndrome.
Accent.
Nobody's called him on it because he has been a fucking behemoth for
the last no one's gonna be like, look at you fucking retard. I mean, look at that. For instance, the other big famous bodybuilder guy, Lou Ferrigno. The only person who's ever made fun of Lou Ferrigno for being deaf was Arnold Schwarzenegger because he was bigger than him.
Oh, word.
So.
And Lou Ferrigno couldn't fucking fire any comebacks because he couldn't hear Arnold Schwarzenegger's retarded accent.
Is Lou Ferrigno even still alive?
Mm-hmm.
He was in I Love You, Man.
And I'm sure he says thank you right now.
He's like, oh.
I'm sure
that movie's only 2 years old.
Yeah. He's totally listening to an audio-only podcast.
Yeah.
What, is there more than audio?
Lou Ferrigno, that's all he puts on his iPhone. It's just podcasts.
He's listening in Braille. No, wait, that's for blind people.
You asshole.
I don't think it would be listening in Braille. It would be reading in Braille.
Maybe you can't listen in Braille.
Have you ever seen that movie Sneakers with Robert Redford?
No.
I thought it was super rad. They had a blind guy. They were like a crew of bandits. I don't know what they were. They were heist men or I don't know. But he had a crew and one of the dudes was blind and he had Playboy in Braille.
Every time I hear the word bandits, I just think of Home Alone.
Really? I think of that fucking Bruce Willis.
Oh my god. With
Billy Bob Thornton movie.
Well, I want to know, so his Playboy was in Braille? Were the nipples raised in Braille bumps?
They didn't show.
No, I was just talking about this the other day. Okay, do you think that anyone has actually franchised porn for the blind, which would essentially just be an audio recording of just two people just getting down?
Sex operator?
Yeah, exactly. You just sell them a CD or a digital copy of a recording of some fucking porn. And they don't need to see anything. But then with that kind of launched in the conversation of people who've been blind since they were born wouldn't know what to visualize when they heard that because they don't know what sex is.
I'm sure they felt them though. They can visualize. I mean, they visualize your face when they touch your face.
Yeah, exactly. But somebody was saying that because they're blind since birth, they don't know what sex looks like, so they can't envision sex.
Well, then that would go. They don't know what anything looks like.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Those kind of people just don't.
You could have some rad sex fantasies.
I don't
understand
why we don't have more
scientific
studies about this shit.
Why there's no porn made for freaks of nature?
Freaks of nature.
Tom's alienated one audience. a core demographic in the podcast.
They wouldn't have been born that way if their parents didn't do something to offend God and make them give birth.
Oh, you can find this podcast under Tea Party.
Yeah.
Tea Party views.
Speaking of Tea Party. We should get to the game before we...
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But later we'll talk about how I went to a Civil War reenactment today that was essentially just a Tea Party jerk-off.
He dressed in gray.
I dressed in gray.
I think you would have to define Tea Party for a majority of your listeners.
I think everybody knows who the Tea Party is.
I don't know.
I think if anyone is listening to us and doesn't know what the Tea Party is, they can feel free to turn this fucking iPod or
Yeah, turn it off. I don't care. I don't
This
want you
isn't
listening
fine.
to our
Alright.
show. Turn it off. Well, wait, do you know what the tea party is?
I do.
Okay, cool. Daniel doesn't. He doesn't know what tea is.
yeah. It's,
Okay.
it's a horchata party in that.
It's a horchata.
Okay,